right. Good afternoon. I'm Louisa Higgins. I'm the RCOE, Riverside County Office of Education Arts Administrator. Really happy to have you joining us for the second collaboration that the county's doing with Soundtrap to present how to work with podcasts. And so we have a big team from Soundtrap with us today. We're welcoming Justin Grimes. He's an education specialist. He is our speaker and presenter. And he did a fabulous job last time. We also have Leandro Otero, who's a senior account manager for Soundtrap, and then Chad Reisfeld, who is the school and district's partnership manager, who's been very, very kind to me. And I want to tell you the reason I'm so excited about this from just a teaching standpoint in general, not necessarily the arts, is that what I have found is an excellent tool for auditory learners. And on top of that, I've been doing a lot of work around STEAM and inspiration, and a podcast plus any subject really gets that done. That technology really makes things happen in such a positive way. And in a second, I'll put in the chat, we have a podcast page that's based around the arts. So the Soundtrap team has been very kind to me, welcoming me into this new technology and getting me up and running. So I'm practicing what I'm preaching today. I'd like to hand it off to Justin, and please mute yourselves at this point, because I think I heard somebody just a minute ago, and then we'll put our full attention on him. So welcome, Justin.
All right, thank you, Louisa, and welcome everyone to our second session of using Soundtrap. During this time, like I said, we're gonna have open minds and gonna be a lot of fun. I know it's the end of the day. I know you all are tired, but I'm gonna make sure that you leave smiling and in a positive light at the end of this. So today we're gonna do a quick introduction. You're gonna learn about myself. I'm gonna do an icebreaker. Gonna talk about the mission of Soundtrap. I'm going to talk about some norms and expectations. Going to talk a little bit about the media art standards, look at some PBL, do a quick little breakout activities that I like to call mic checks, talk a little bit about SEL, building a foundation. We're going to look at some projects throughout this time, and then we're going to leave it open at the end for any questions. Like Louisa mentioned, two of my colleagues, Chad and Leandro, are on the call. So if you have any questions about Soundtrap and want to know anything more, feel free to put it in the chat box and I'll make sure to answer those for you. So let's start it off. So kids, you put in the chat box, could you put your name, grade level, and your school? So just put your name, grade level, and your school so that we can know who's in the room. Welcome, Beth. Stephanie, we have some middle school teachers. K through 7. Tina, welcome. Ed Campos. Nice. Belinda, second grade. So we have a wide range of teachers here today. Good. TK through 8. Awesome. All right, so now Riverside Community Lead, private piano teacher, dual language academy, awesome. So yeah, continue to put your names and your schools and your grade levels in the chat box. I think it's always really good for us to see who's in the room because there may be some type of synergy there that after you learn about Soundtrap, you want to go and collaborate with other teachers at other schools as well. So the first icebreaker question I want to do is, where do you find inspiration in your life and work? So think about, it could be anything. Where do you find inspiration for your life and work? And put that in the chat box. YouTube, Instagram. I'm a big Instagrammer as well. Yeah, I found a lot of inspiration from Instagram. Talking with the kids you teach. Art, music, poetry, and food. Yes, food. Record collection. Yes, Chad. Hip hop music and the kids to work with. Students and their voices. Nature, kids, music. People, TikTok. No, you're not. There's so many cool things going on TikTok. And Christina, I love how you put that through your experiences with people that you meet. Yes. Anyone else? YouTube, music, movies, theater, nature, traveling. YouTube, nature, interactions with others. Yes, continue to put those in there. Just also, I love to see how people are inspired. And I'm already seeing some connections between people, how we connect via food, YouTube, music, and nature and traveling as well. All of these things gives us some type of creative energy or ideas to be able to do what we do today. And so in the work that we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be pulling inspiration and ideas from everywhere. So thank you all for sharing. So here I am Justin Grimes. Like Louisa mentioned, I'm the education specialist. So before actually coming to the Soundtrap team, I was an elementary teacher. So I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher. So shout out to all the teachers out there that are TK through first grade working with the little ones. Definitely miss my group of students. I really love coming to Soundtrap just because it's all about music making and podcasting and storytelling and being able to empower students and teachers as well to create that. So like I said, on today, we're going to be talking a lot about, storytelling, but in the mixture when it talks about PBL and SEL as well. For those of you that did not know, Soundtrap is a part of the Spotify family. So at both Spotify and Soundtrap, we want to make sure that we empower millions and millions of creators out there, whether it's through storytelling or music making as well, giving them the opportunity to have a platform to share their art with, their fans and the community as well. And that's what we're going to be doing with Soundtrap. And that's what you'll be hopefully be doing with Soundtrap as well for your students and your school community, is giving students the platform, which is Soundtrap, to be able to share what they are creating. So I like to set some norms and expectations of, how we want to facilitate this conversation. So as I mentioned earlier, open mind and clear thoughts, brave minds and warm hearts. This may be very new to some. It may, not be new to others. But what I want to know is we're going to just step out and we're going to be brave and we're going to be willing to just latch onto this, and hopefully you'll be able to incorporate this into your classroom. No answer is wrong. Like I said, anything you ask is not going to be a wrong answer. So if you have some questions you want to put in the chat box, put in the chat box and we'll make sure that we can get that answered. If not during this session, we can follow up with you as well. All questions are good questions. Like I said, this is new. Ask questions, ask questions. I'm going to continue to say that throughout the session, but I mean to ask the questions so that we can really figure out how can we really collaborate with one another. So the first thing I want to talk about is the California Media Arts Standards. And this is something that we covered last time, but I think that it's important that we ground ourselves on again. So the media arts can lead to art as communication, knowing that art can come through a visual standpoint, an audio standpoint, through theater, through music, any different types of art forms. Art is looked as creative, personal, careers. So oftentimes, when students think about the arts, they may not think that there are career opportunities that are out there. But through this, we want to let them know that you can be an audio engineer, you can be a podcaster, you can be a storyteller, and you can make money out of all of these type of things. So continuing to tell our students that there are career options out there in the arts. Art as community engagement. We know that, through murals and through protest or even forms of art. So being able to, engage our students and engage the community as well to figure out how they can share their love for, whatever they may be talking about or discovering. And like I mentioned, art is, social and civic engagement. And then most importantly, giving students that voice and giving them empowerment. I'm understanding that our students have seen so much over this past year, and they have so much that they want to say and they want to express as well. So making sure that we offer them the opportunity to, create, to show, how they've been feeling, what they've been reacting to as well. So the first thing I want to move into is the PBL wheel. And I know this is something that some of you, or maybe all of you, have seen before. And so when we think about this, I love how it's broken down into different sections. And, whether it's talking about challenging problems or questions, whether it's talking about having some type of reflection, authenticity, student voice and choice, creating a public product as well. These different strands, as I call them, all align to the work that, you can create within Soundtrap. And as you can see right here with the public product, it's even saying that Soundtrap can be created to create some type of product. So the first mic check. Currently, which element of PBL do you introduce students to first? So which current element of PBL do you like to introduce your students to first? But And if you have not introduced your students to anything, what component are you interested in exploring? So if you currently use something, let us know. But if you have not, let us know what you're interested in exploring. So put that in the chat box.
Jocelyn, as we're doing this, can you show that graphic again so we can see what the elements are?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So as you start to think, feel free to put it in the chat box. So Kathleen says she's using Flipgrid for a recital next week. Wow. Okay. And the student suggested it. So giving students the opportunity to show you tools. Nice. Anyone else? Are there any other types of, things within PBL that you're using in your classroom that you would like to share? Okay, Christina said they create a short song in second grade using melody and rhythm specific parameters. I'd love to add a commercial project in fifth grade using WeVideo. I want to teach them how to create virtual performances. Nice, and you can create actual virtual ensembles using Soundtrap. I'm interested in creating and evaluating final products, Canva for studio materials, and I've done a few singing virtual performances this year, but want the students to learn too. Awesome. So Belinda said Newsela right now is the only one that they've used, and she's used Flipgrid and would love to start incorporating with students. So yeah, all of these different types of like mediums, whether it's Newsela, whether it's Flipgrid, we can combine that with Soundtrap to provide some type of audio backing for those. So, and Jennifer said using Canva for graphics and Soundtrap for podcasts, then also for poetry and dance performances. Awesome, Jennifer. It's like you're already using Soundtrap. And the last one, Ed mentioned about public products. So students creating raps and beats that they put on YouTube and have collaborated on what we share at presentations. Nice. Nice. Thank you all for sharing. Like I said, continue to put those responses in there so that we can start to build a bank of ideas or suggestions that we're using. Let's see. Okay, so moving forward. So these are some key considerations that I think that you should use when you're thinking about PBL creation. So it's always important to start with an essential question or problem. So I think that this helps to drive your project. So whether it's how does music move you? That could be an example of something that you could really start with and allow students to just explore how music makes them feel. So allowing them to maybe pick their favorite, 2 or 3 songs and just write about what it makes them feel, or like allow them to, set up a track in Soundtrap and just talk about how the music makes them feel. I think that the end product is key. So although we have our question, we know that at the end, we want to make some type of product. So always having in the back of our mind, knowing that, okay, I know at the end, this is what I want to produce. So we have to think about what is being created. But I love how it's a consideration to like a lasting impact. What type of product is going to last that maybe 2 years or 5 years from now, me as a teacher, I could go back and say, wow, I remember when we created this. And then most importantly, the audience and high engagement. So thinking about what is the vision? What is the big picture that I want my audience to see? Who is my audience? And I think that through the whole creation process, and even when you get inside of Soundtrap, you can start to think, okay, who am I trying to attract to, let's say, my music that I'm creating? Or, what audience am I thinking about when I'm recording this podcast or telling this story? So once again, these are some key considerations to think about when you are creating, projects and trying to incorporate PBL. All right, so it's time to talk and get on to some breakout rooms. So right now I have split up into 4 sections. So challenge, authenticity, student voice and choice, and critique and revision. So these are 4 categories that we saw at the beginning on the PBL wheel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms. It's going to be about 4 or 5 people in a room. And I want you to just pick an idea or pick one of these strands, whether it's challenge or the other 3, and talk about, what that looks like in your classroom, or, what that looks like in the creation process when you're creating projects with your students. So once again, we're going to go into breakout rooms. And before that, you're going to choose one of the 4, and you're going to talk about in the breakout room how this is implemented into your classroom and like the process of creating art. So we're going to take about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll come back together. And Jessica, I can go into a breakout room, and that's fine with me.
Okay.
If possible.
Maybe room 2, Jessica, for him. There you go.
Yeah, I can never put it doesn't give me the option to move the host,
Oh, okay.
but you should be able to if you want to join any of them.
I might pop in a few minutes. How long does he say? 5 minutes?
Yeah, so
I didn't get all of the notes that he had. Challenge, authenticity. There's 2 more. So let me just go look. Maybe I'll pop in and out to each room. Let's see.
student voice and choice and critique and revision.
Student voice and choice. And what was the last one?
Critique and revision.
Okay, so there's 3 breakout rooms.
There's 4.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna jump into each of them real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. How are we doing on time?
We have 1.5 minutes left.
Okay. You give them a 1-minute warning?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to jump in and out. It's too disruptive to the recording. So, okay. No, it's interesting though, because out of those 4 things he has up on the grid, student voice and choice is a central part of universal design for learning. And then critique and revision is really central to the art standards. I'd just like to point that out. My cat is singing. What? Can you hear him?
A little bit.
He's just singing. He's like, it's an arts thing. Let's have a song. Intermission. He likes to hear himself. Hmm. But this is a good group. I heard lots of stimulating conversation going on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, it's good because you kind of just you distributed the Soundtrap folks in the different. I don't know if you did that on purpose or that's just how it comes up, but
I might have done it by accident. I try to move them around randomly.
right, you don't want like 3 guests and then 1 teacher. That's not ideal. All right. Well, they're coming back. Thank you for handling the breakout rooms.
Just that one, right?
Yeah, I think just once. Well done.
All right, welcome
Johnson, my
back.
group was popping. We could have had like another 20 minutes.
Right, we were getting into
I don't
some
know
good
about everyone
conversation. Welcome back, everyone. So what I would like to do is, if we could just really quickly, if I could get 4 volunteers just to talk about really quickly what you talked about in your group. Would love to just hear anyone. Feel free if you want to just put it in a chat box, you can do that, or you can unmute yourself as well.
Yeah, I'll just dive in. We just basically just talked about how much we want to be able to have our students collaborate more. And for me personally, as a private music teacher, being able to do a duet with somebody is really important. Being able to clap rhythms or do that kind of instruction is really important. And of course, we haven't been able to do that online. So.
Thank you for sharing. And I know, Kathleen, that's a big piece that a lot of teachers and I know students are missing. And when we go into the studio, I'll make sure to show you ways in which you can use that collaboration feature. So thank you. Anyone else?
In our group, I love that Stefania said they were doing a poetry and art like combo thing where cross curriculum, and they came and did pottery and they worked with the English language arts teachers to incorporate with poetry on Saturday. So I thought that was a really cool mix.
Right. And welcome back, Beth. I think I saw you last time. You had like a different background in the back. So I love it.
I think the last one was probably a Star Trek background.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need you to fully commit, Beth. I don't know. You're going halfway, and I need the full screen to be covered.
Tina and I work together, Miss Salas, and I am using Soundtrap, well, for 2 projects, but the one, I'm doing a podcast with my middle schoolers, and they love it. And they're interviewing, I didn't even share this in the group, but they are doing podcasts and they're interviewing the family members, really. And I told them to be very specific, and they are pretending that it is a real podcast that they talk to weekly. And so they had to pick a subject. But a lot of them got to.
Oh no.
Cliffhanger.
I know. Hopefully she can be able to come back.
Like elders. But the other one is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It looks like it's unstable. Okay. The other one is my 4th graders are doing, they wrote the I Am poems, and which I used the resource from Soundtrap, which was cool. But then I, whatever words they filled into the I Am poem, they made dance movement out of it. And so I downloaded the Soundtrap recordings after they're adding their music background. I taught them how to use all that. And then we video recording, they're sharing them with each other. So they're collaborating that way. And it's a 4th grade standard too. So the English teachers are very happy. And then we're making a dance duet. So it's really cool. And then we're going to make it one big thing, one big, really cool collaborative video. Tina's doing something similar. So it's really cool.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing. And she talked about in our group just how they're incorporating dance with like, audio creation and collaboration as well. So thank you.
Can I jump in here really quick and just tell you that Christina has just made a doc. So if you want to drop links, she's going to want to drop things in and share with.
Awesome.
And we can use that, and I'll send the link, or I'll have Jessica send the link with all the other goodies that are coming after this.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love this. Like right now, this is community. This is pure community building right here. So keep doing this.
Got some super teachers on this call.
Yes, I love it. One more person. I'm loving this energy.
I was sharing in our group that, as Jenny was saying, I had 3rd and 4th grade, well, actually, let me say 4th grade, and then 5th, 6th, 7th, they did different collaborations, but they helped create a rap video. They sent me their voiceovers through Soundtrap. I put it on a timeline in Final Cut Pro, recorded some video off of Zoom, and we created a full rap video with the help of Soundtrap. So it's pretty cool. Miss Louisa Higgins saw my little one, my younger kids, but I have older ones as well.
I would love to hear that if you're willing to share that.
Oh yeah, I already asked her. We're gonna get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a cool idea. Yeah, definitely a really cool idea. I would love to hear that. So thank you all for sharing. Like I said, let's continue to just, share ideas so that we can figure out how we can work together. So let me go back. All right. So when we think about SEL, I will go and I'll share this. So what components of SEL do you focus on in your classroom? And I'll go and show this chart. So what parts of SEL do you currently focus on in your classroom? And you can put that in the chat box as well. Heavy on self-management. Social awareness, self-management, relationship skills, responsible decision-making, self-management and awareness. Relationship skills. Yep. I think that's a big one that we're gonna have to definitely focus on going into the new school year is relationship skills, trying to build that back up. And self-awareness. Yep. Loving how everyone, self-awareness. So as you can see, a lot of people are already working or incorporating self-awareness and relationship skills into their classroom. All right, so today we're going to highlight 2 of these. So self-awareness and social awareness. I think these 2 components of SEL are in direct correlation with Soundtrap. So when we think about self-awareness, thinking about personal and social identities, whether you're creating a podcast, whether you're creating a story, whether you're creating a full-on, end of the year concert, thinking about all of the identities that are within your classroom and that, that are helping to create this. Identifying personal, cultural, and linguistic assets. So thinking about how people's culture can be influenced in whatever you're creating, how their language can be incorporated as well, and identifying one's emotions. And that's something that I think a lot of times kind of shy away from is thinking about emotions, but no, that's how we're able to be more aware of, our own selves is by thinking about how we're currently feeling. And social awareness. So recognizing strengths in others. And so that's when this collaboration piece comes into play. When you think about, okay, I know that Leandro is good at this. I know that Chad is good at this. So let's all collaborate and let's work together and use all of our strengths to make this final project. Also identifying different diverse social norms and thinking about ways in which students can identify unjust things that are going on in their community or, maybe sometimes in their schools, opinions that they may have and how they can think about that. And then demonstrating empathy. And that's something that I always like to reiterate. It's like empathy, empathy, empathy. How can we continue to make sure that that's at the forefront? So I don't know, this is a short film that I saw about a year ago, and it really like touched me. So in line with thinking about emotions, we're gonna watch a very short clip of this video. And within this, I want you to think about these two questions. One, what sounds did you hear? And number two, how did those sounds make you feel? So once again, what sounds did you hear and how did it make you feel? So this is Canvas. It's a Netflix short film. And so the reason I love to share this film is because for me, that was a perfect example of how audio can just radiate so many emotions. It was very subtle, like it's very subtle sounds, and throughout this entire short film, there's no words at all. It's honestly just like sound and pictures. And that's what I imagine, students being able to use Soundtrap, the ways in which they can tell a story and we can hear it. And, we can feel mad, we can feel sad, we can cry, and that's what I want us to get to the point where our students feel comfortable with creating things that, no matter where we are, we can be walking down the street, someone can put it in and they can listen to it and say, wow, this student really has a powerful story, or wow, this music is really great. And so Jennifer, when you were talking about your students using the I am speech, it automatically made me think, they're using this speech to be able to dance in the ways that in which you can, have body language to emote different words. It's going to be so powerful. So I'm really excited to see like that project. So if you would, in the chat box, how did that make you feel? Just quickly put 1 or 2 words, how did it make you feel? Hopeful, peaceful, inspired, and calm. Nice. Re-inspire. Wow. Lonely footsteps in the wheelchair. Yep. A sense of magic. Curious. Yep. Anxious. From empty and hard to full and lush. Yes. Nostalgia. I was the same way, Tina. Like I was a little sad in the beginning. Yeah, thank you all for sharing that. And I definitely, if you have some time this weekend or whenever, definitely check out Canvas. It's a really great short film and just a way to show that like how sound can be so powerful in something. So let me share my screen again. All right. Okay. All right. So the big question that we're going to think about in this last segment of this session is, how do stories and music move you? So when I'm showing different examples in the conversation that we've had I'm talking about how we're incorporating PBL and SEL, thinking about ways in which the stories that you're going to create and the music that you and your students are going to create, how are those things going to like move you and have a lasting impact? So it's time let's hop inside of the studio. Once you all have signed up for Soundtrap, and Chad and Leandro will put the information about how to sign up in the chat box. If you have questions, you'll come to a main page like this. So you'll be able to see where all your projects are being housed at. So this first project that I want to show you is actually one that one of Leandro's students created. And it's from the like Where I'm From poem. So let's check it out. Alrighty.
Where I'm From poem. I'm from Joni Mitchell on the record player on a Sunday morning, from soup bubbling on the stove. I'm from black coffee, silver dollar pancakes, and too many donuts. I'm from long car rides to school and conversations with Dad as we drive. I'm from Nana whistling in the kitchen, Mom singing me to sleep, and sisters giggling after lights out. I'm from hot summer days, playing outside with neighborhood kids, and cold winter nights by the crackling fire reading alone. I'm from rosaries and prayer cards, incense and church choirs. I'm from the shores of Sicily and the farmsteads of Canada. I'm from the hustle and bustle of the city and a one-stoplight town upstate. I'm from a matriarchy, from a long line of women, daughters and mothers, readers and writers, singers and dancers, hostesses and wallflowers, trailblazers, all of them, myself included. Myself included.
So I think that's a really great example of ways in which storytelling is used to identify, personal culture, your identity, the sound effects as well. And as we can see, there were parts of the poem where, she wanted to match words with sounds, whether it's through the boiling water, those church bells and the giggling that you heard, ways in which just words were able to come through in action. So that's a really, really cool way that students can, really incorporate different ELA or arts, within Soundtrap. Another example that I want to show is an SEL breathing activity. So when we think about earlier about self-awareness, this is a really cool example. Another one of my colleagues created where students are able to breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, let out for 8 seconds. And so this is something that maybe you can start first thing in the morning, or you can end your week with as well. So let's check this out.
Hi everyone. What we're going to do today is practice 4-7-8 breathing. Some of you may have done something like this in a yoga class or in a meditation class, but basically what we're going to do is try to regulate our mind and our breathing by breathing in slowly for 4 seconds, holding our breath for 7 seconds, and then breathing out slowly for 8 seconds. Once you have done that, you're going to repeat it again and again, up to 10 times. Where Soundtrap comes into this is you can choose from our 5,000 pre-recorded royalty-free loops to find the perfect loops that match your mood or the mood you want to be in. So as long as you have the visual representation of the loop, like I do in the 3 below, to follow along with your eyes and with your ears and with your breath. This is a really great way to sort of regulate your mood and your breathing. I hope you enjoy it. One final note, be sure to drag the cycle bar for the 19 seconds above your 3 loops so that it plays again and again and it snaps over and over. Once you have listened to and understand these directions, go ahead and mute this track, or you could delete it altogether, and then simply cycle through the 3 loops as you need until you're feeling perfectly at peace.
So another really peaceful one, and I kind of got caught up as well in listening to the loops. But that's just something as simple as going inside of the studio, recording the instructions for your students, and going into our pre-recorded loops and picking 3 loops that match, the emotions that you want. And there are a lot of different ones that you can go through and that you can listen to. But that's something that, maybe you can give your students a project and say, hey, I want you to create a self-meditation project where you go in and you pick 3 sounds that match your mood and bring it to class, and let maybe one day out of the week, each person gets a chance to lead the class in a type of breathing routine. Another one that I want to show you all is the high-low surprise. And this is another one where you can think about, social and self-awareness on something that, has been high in your week, something that's low. And that's something that was a surprise as well. So let's take a listen.
Today, we're going to do a simple exercise of self-reflection as a way for you to continue to get comfortable with Soundtrap. This exercise is something we used to do at the dinner table when I grew up with my family. It's called Highlight, Lowlight, Surprise. You just pick a day to reflect on, either today or yesterday, and share your highlight, your favorite or best part of your day, a lowlight, your least favorite part of the day, and a surprise, something that you didn't expect. Your voice recording is the only thing that's required today, but if you want, you can add music and sound effects to help capture the mood and tone of your day. I've included an example of my own high-low surprise from yesterday, just to make sure you understand the assignment. So you'll just need to make a new track and record yourself talking through your high-low surprise on that new track. Have fun! Here's my highlight, lowlight surprise. My highlight is playing music for my friends in their backyard. David, Abby, and Olivia listened to me play my handpan, and we all had a really great time just hanging out together and sharing music. My lowlight was my computer crashed while I was working on a video, so I lost a bunch of work and I had to redo it. My surprise was my friend Carlos reached out and we got to talk. I hadn't seen him in over a year, and it was a nice surprise to talk and laugh together.
Another example, just a way that, you can allow your students to do a really quick reflection on something that's been high, low, and surprise for them. So once again, adding that element of SEL into within Soundtrap. Let's see. Yes, I love the idea. I love that one as well. So now that you've heard these 3 different examples, we're going to take this opportunity now, and I'm going to show you how we can go inside of the studio and we can set up our own project. So once you enter inside of the studio, we're going to pick podcasting. So we're going to go over to podcast. And then the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up like instructions. So if I'm the teacher and I want to set this up, thinking about our question earlier that we started with, how does music move you? I'm going to give that to my students. I'm going to add a new track, voice and microphone, and then I'm going to start recording. Hey students, this is Mr. Grimes here speaking. Today, or this week, we've really been talking about how music moves us. So in this project, I want you to create a 1-minute piece talking about ways in which music moves you. For some extra bonus points, I want you to add in 3 of your favorite loops that will accompany this project. Good luck. So I just went and I created my instructions. And so I'm going to create this and I'm going to say, Mr. Grimes instructions. So then when I push this out as an assignment, each one of my students will always hear the instructions that I'm going to give them. So let's go back and listen. Hey students, this is Mr. Grimes here speaking. Today, or this week, we've really been talking about how music moves us. So it picks up everything that I just said. And like I said, instead of having to type a Word doc or type something into Google Classroom or Canvas, you can just already give them instructions here and they can always go back and listen to it. Then if I want to set it up and say, I want to let them know, okay, here, you're going to have your voice. So you're going to say record here, so that they can already have their track labeled to where they're going to record. And when we think about them adding in loops, like I said, you go over to the right-hand side, go into the loops and select their favorite 3. And then something they can go in and add it just by hearting it to their favorite. So when they go back, they can already know which 3 they want to use. If I wanted to make this a collaboration project and say, I want another student to be in on this project, you can go into collaboration. You can hit invite. And when you hit the invite, you can enter their name or their email in. You're gonna have to do it one by one and then hit invite. And they'll get a notification on their end saying, Mr. Grimes wants to invite you to a project. Do you accept or you deny? And they would accept it. And the ways in which you would know that they're inside of the project is if their little like circle with their picture comes up with the green light on. 2 more things I want to show you is the transcription feature. And so this is like the wow factor for me as well, because it can take your text and it can take your sound, your speech and turn it into text. So you go down to the transcript, select voice track, and I'm going to transcribe my own text. And it usually takes about a minute to upload. While it's uploading, does anyone have any questions right now about the studio or anything that we can address right now?
I have a few questions.
Yeah, Tina.
What is the difference between going into podcast and then the other option? Is it music or
Music.
I don't know what the other option is.
Great question.
What's the difference? Because
So-
I've been using music, not podcast.
So one of the difference is at the top, like you're gonna see when you see like this bar up here. So you see like 1, 2, 3. That's gonna show you on the podcasting side how many beats. Give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, so this is on the music side actually. Sorry, I have the ruler set to beats, so it's showing like beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. But if I go down and change the time, then it would just change it to the amount of seconds that I have if I'm creating like a podcast. So
But
that's
it
something
records the same. It just is the layout's different.
Yep. Mhm.
It won't change what you have access to in the studio.
Okay.
You could still make music if you selected podcast. There will
Okay.
just be some small things like the default microphone settings will be different. If you choose podcast, there's a default podcast microphone versus an enhanced microphone for music recording.
Okay, and then let's say this line this track you have right now is music,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do a rap over it. How do you do that without re-recording the music? I know you can mute it, but then your timing might be off. Is there an option to put headphones in for track 1 so you can hear what the music is and then record your voice so it's on time? Does that make sense?
Sorry, I'm getting
Because
around
if I'm hitting record on the second track and my music is on this first one, it's recording the music as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it sounds like you're not using headphones when you're doing that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we always recommend using headphones because by
Okay.
doing so, it's going to avoid echo and delay and feedback. So what's happening is when you're recording, whatever is coming out of your speakers during playback is going back into your microphone.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
plugging in headphones will eliminate.
Perfect. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Great question. Going back to the transcript, like I said, as you can see now, it took what I said and it made it into the text. And then when I hit play, hey students, this is Mr. Grimes here speaking. Today or this week, we've really been talking, and it just follows along with you as well. I'll show you another thing. If you want to set, like, let's think about students that speak different languages that may be in your class. Before you start recording, you can go and set that language just by going to settings and going down to language and choosing which language you want to set it. And when it's time for you to get ready to download your project, you go up to File, go down to Export, and you can export your project here. So let's do it. So let's make this like a sample project. Hit save. And now I'm going to exit the studio. And as I see right here, it's mixing right now. And so let's say I want to push this out as an assignment to my students. I just go over and I hover over and click, and you see create assignment. Once you hit create assignment, a new folder is going to be made at the bottom of your projects. And you hit create assignment, share assignment, and you can share it out in the multiple ways. If you're using, let's say, Google Classroom, and your students click on the project or the assignment for the first time, it's going to open up a copy for every single student. So every student will have their own copy of that project. And so every time they go inside of the studio and hit save, it's just going to save their work. So you don't have to go do the back and forth of, hey, upload your project here, take it here, send it there. Their projects are already automatically, every time they hit save, you're going to see those updates as well. So I know that was a quick overview of the studio. Like I said, this time was meant for us to just really talk about ways in which we can incorporate PBL and SEL. If you have more questions about this, we're going to be sharing out this deck as well with our contact information in there. So feel free to reach out to myself, Chad Alejandro, for any other questions. But one other thing I want to show us before we end is our new and updated EDU resource page. And so you can go here and you can find different resources. So if I go to resources, go to teachers, it has the lesson plans that we have, rubrics as well. And it also has this, our certified educator course. And I recommend that everyone go and take that course. It has level 1 to 3 for music and podcasting, and it does a really great job of breaking down each feature inside of the studio and quizzing you at the end. And once you're done, it gives you a certificate. And sometimes I know that certain school districts give PD credit for people that have finished that course. Another thing that I want to show is our events. So our events page is where our education specialist team posts our different events that we have every month. So you can see we have things ranging from music onboarding to how to use Soundtrap to support SEL, to even office hours that we have. And one really fun event that we're having next month in June 22nd, and I'll make sure to send you a reminder, Louisa, to push out to the teachers, is an event called Heart to Heart. And so this is a time where our EDU users come together and share projects that they've created. Another great way to build community and learn even more about different ways that people are using Soundtrap here in America. And also we've had EDU users from Latin America, and we've had them come from London as well to share different ways, creative ways that they used it, whether it's podcasting or music making as well. And the final thing that I want to show is following our Soundtrap community. This is a way that you can just keep up with Soundtrap, whether it's on Twitter. We post different daily tweets that go out, and also our Facebook page. And this is a really good avenue as well to just see how people are using Soundtrap. And if you have questions, usually sometimes teachers are able to answer your questions quickly or faster than we are at times. And then people post different lesson plans and different units that they've been working on with Soundtrap as well. So thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for the energy, and thank you for sharing those ideas. Like I said, if you have any additional questions, our email addresses are in the presentation that they're going to be sharing with you all. And thank you once again, Louisa.
Yes, I was just going to say, some of you will drop off. I know you have things to do, but Jessica will be sending out presently an email. First of all, we ask that you do the survey for us because that really directs programming going into next year, things that you really like and that you give us feedback on. And so we'll have the slide deck, the contact information, the resource links, and Jessica's also going to grab the links in the Google Doc that Christina set up during this presentation. So the sharing that went on there will be included. So all of that will be coming to you. any moment now. And we have about 5 minutes, so Josh and I will hang out to see if there's a few questions we can answer. And when we run out of time, you'll have his contact information.
Yep.
So thank you for your time, teachers. It was so wonderful to be with this group.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because my particular take right now is with my private students, and they are generally individual. I have a lot of siblings, but can I use Soundtrap to have each of them record something that then can be put together, or to listen to something and play with it?
Yep. So let me pull the studio back up again. So if you are starting, like you said, with your small group of your students, what you can do is you can go inside of this project, and if you have like a click track or something that you want them to listen along with, you can go and import that track. So you just go to import file and you import it that way.
Right.
Then we can come over to the collaboration piece, and you can go and invite each of those students to that project. And so once they get that invite, it'll show that maybe 2 or 3 students are in the project. And so once, let's say you and I are working on a project, and I make a change, I hit save, you'll get like a ding saying that like a change has been made. Then you would be able to see what I did, and vice versa. So we can go back and forth to see what each other. And then even in the chat box, there's an option. I'm trying to find the project. There's an option in the chat box or in the collaboration where you can go and give personal feedback.
Okay. I can see this also being really good for the composing that my students do, because it would be pretty easy to give them something to look at or think about to compose to.
And if you get a chance, on our YouTube channel, one of my colleagues, Taylor, has actually created a video showing you how to do virtual ensembles. So I know, although it's smaller, like you can be able to go and see how that is set up.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I have to get to my next lesson, but thanks. I very appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who had a question that didn't get a chance to ask previously? Because we just have about 2 minutes right now.
I have a quick question. My sound kind of went out when you were covering, when you share it for your students, any of the options, including Google Classroom, will automatically add them, right? And it'll save any progress that they're doing. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so once you click on Google Classroom, it'll take you through the steps of uploading that assignment. And then once they click on it the first time, each student will get their own copy.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much for this.
And if you have questions, feel free to email me and we can work it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Christina, for creating that document. I love that on the fly thinking. Sometimes we just have such great peer-to-peer information happening. I'm glad we're able to capture that. Yeah, I highly recommend Soundtrap. It's been so fun for me. I'm a true believer in the tool. So, all right, I think that's it for today. Thanks again, Justin.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.